Getting a hair transplant is a lifelong commitment, like when you are getting married. It will stay with you forever. But let's say you are just in your 20s, not as much experience with relationships, not knowing what you want in life, probably don't want to get married, but rather stay single and focus on building up your life. Watch Let's Get Hair. Get better hair than the other guy, so that once you reach your 30s, even the married women out there will be like, I married too quickly, I should have waited for this guy, meaning you. And it's the same with a hair transplant. You have to be ready. So in today's video, I will share with you the roadmap to get the most out of your hair transplant. But first, you want to make sure that you are meeting the 3 following criteria. But to put it simply, let's just call them signs. Sign number 1, meet my balding twin Pat. This was his hair in 2015, and just 2 years later, his hair got here. See the difference? He moved at least 1 whole grade higher on the Norwood Hamilton balding scale. You don't want to be like Pat. Getting a hair transplant at this stage will be like building a castle on a sand. And people who choose to do it this way have to be ready to deal with the consequences in the future. Because such hair transplants can easily turn from looking cool to looking super obvious to looking yikes. Simply because your existing hair in that case can still keep on retracing further, like Napoleon's army retreat from Moscow in 1812. And of course you are free to build on unstable grounds. It's your head, it's your life. I just need to tell you that also your hairstyle flexibility will be the lowest, because wearing any type of shorter buzz cut from 1 to 3.5 centimeters or 1 to 1.5 inch will be only possible in the short term after your surgery, because the gap between your recently transplanted zone and existing hair zone will likely continue to spread apart, causing a wide trench that can only be masked by wearing your hair long and combing it over. But on the other hand, if your hair loss has not progressed in the last 2 years, you just barely noticed that, great, you have met the first criteria. But hey, don't rush into any operation room yet. Let's wait for the second and third sign. So here's the sign number 2. Did you know that F1 drivers need to go through short 12 to 18 minute qualification rounds before they can participate in the real race? The qualification round will also determine their positions before the race. So before you decide to get a hair transplant, you also need to go through such a qualification round, which I like to call finasteride compliance round. Unfortunately, such qualification round is nowhere close to being 12-minute short or even 18-minute short. Believe me, I wish a lot, but in our case, it will be more like 12 months to properly accomplish it. Many doctors do not consider it mandatory for a patient to have been on finasteride 12 months prior to his hair transplant, because of course they also need some patient inflow to keep their business running and get some revenue on a regular basis. Well, finasteride helps with many things before and during your hair transplant. First thing is improving the quality of your donor area in case you are somebody with higher telogen or catagen hair counts, so you get on finasteride and get better donor from finasteride prior to the hair transplant. Finasteride can help you minimize the shock loss if the doctor decides to increase the density in between the existing hairs, like for example if you are diffuse thinner. And probably the most important thing is that finasteride will benefit your existing hair greatly, so that after 12 months your existing hair zone and transplanted hair zone will just naturally and smoothly blend together without any visible gap. So after 12 months on finasteride or dutasteride, you automatically qualify for a hair transplant in most cases, but you still need to answer the following questions to see how that response was. Question number 1, how did my hair improve? Number 2, did my hair loss stabilize? Number 3, what is my daily shedding rate now compared to 12 months ago? Number 4, did I have any side effects? And number 5, if yes, am I willing to keep the medication, or are these side effects too discouraging for me to keep taking it? Hair transplant is really like painting your house, and getting on finasteride first is like applying insulation on the outside walls of your home to keep it warm. And yet many people decide to just paint the house without applying any insulation, because they're only hoping for sunny days. But once the environment suddenly turns out to be windy, cold and hostile, they wish they had insulated the house before. And the criteria number 3 actually goes back to 1812 one more time, when Napoleon thought he could have decisively defeated Russia and secured his dominance over Europe. But in reality, his expectations were crushed by Russia's harsh winter. So the last thing you want in this case is to be like Napoleon. You don't want your expectation to astronomically exceed what the reality is capable of. The best recent example of this that comes to my mind would be my client Carl. His donor area was average, but he wanted to get this level of hair density. This is not realistic. So you need to become a student of many before and after results and study each result close to your hair type from every single angle, different lighting conditions, combed through and also parted so you can see in between and see what type of density can you actually expect. I also believe that your expectations should be adjusted based on your hair type and donor area reserves. For example, if you have a fine hair like myself and this is your result, you should be happy. Personally, I am very happy about my hair density, but I know that for some people this would not be enough. But for those people, you should not forget that hair transplant is just the bare illusion of density, and it's not meant to give you literally the same hair density you once used to have when you had full head of hair as a kid. So if you want to avoid wasting your hair transplant and make the most out of it, check out the link in the video description below where I can help you find out the best clinics for your hair type, expectations, budget, and save you stress, money, and time trying to figure out who is good, who is not, filter out the best clinics from the ocean of the bad ones. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.